Toys. All right, so Wall of Doom, some new stuff, some old stuff.
Yeah.
On the mix, Your Majesty uses these 3 or 4 1176s.
4 of the 5, got used.
So the 2 white faces or silver faces and then 2 of those black faces.
And the 2 black face, yeah.
Clearly have been through Kosovo and back, because look at these knobs.
Yeah.
So there's a big, discussion about, silver face versus black face.
I think basically they are different when you get into the really old black faces, and these are Rev D, I think, and it went through Rev H or something like that. Mm-hmm. So these sound different, and probably just because they're old and they're getting slightly out of spec and things are dying. The circuits are slightly different. They react differently. In my head, the black faces work great on guitars, silver faces work great on vocals. It could be because when they're silver, they're brighter, and it makes me think that they're brighter. I don't know. With the extreme settings I'm using on the silver ones on this mix, I really don't think it would matter. As long as they can go super fast and be a little distorted, they're going to be fine. It doesn't matter which. This pair are a little bit special only because they came from the original Motown LA studio. So they have a little bit of history. They came as a pair. They've lived together their whole lives. So
birds.
I don't split them up, and I actually use them in a stereo configuration, not with stereo link, but they always work together. So they just have a little special place in the studio.
Cool. Then we have some DBX 160s, a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, we're only using one
only
in particular
mix,
on this mix. But yeah, 160 VU used on every mix I ever do with gear.
It's fun on drums.
Yeah.
165s.
Some of the first compressors I ever bought. When I first started, that was the compressor that I saw that could do everything. So when it was time to buy compressors, I bought 165As. Unfortunately, in my head, that gave them this sort of Swiss Army knife thing, but not necessarily the best for anything in particular. So I use them a lot less than I probably should. But yeah, they've been here since the beginning.
Then effects, we talk about the effects a lot in the video, but you use that on vocals.
Yep, the Aphex has built a bunch of different models of their stuff, all based on the same concept, but they all sound totally different. Love that one on vocals, percussion.
That's a lovely thing, TG.
The TG1 from Chandler and Wade actually gave me the mastering release mod, so it has in-between settings. Yeah, it's great. It just does a thing, and the thing it does is wonderful.
And you use it on the mix?
I use it stereo for some drum stuff, yeah.
And then a couple 500 racks with some exotic stuff. On the mix, we only use this guy.
Yeah, we only use that Moog ladder filters. Awesome filters. They're Moog filters. They're awesome.
Wonderful.
And then an alien holding the world.
And we all need
Best
one of those.
sounding thing in the studio.
Yes.
Next are Lang PEQ2s. I love these EQs. We use this on the stereo bus. There are 3 of them a pair. These are actually from Motown. This one is not from Motown. This was from Sound City, Studio B, when they closed it. Before some famous guy bought the console, I bought some of the outboard gear. This one has actually been modded with an API-style output amplifier. It's not actually a 2520, but it's that topology amplifier to try and give me a little more headroom. Turns out it's a little too clean, so I end up using these 2 guys, which still have the old output amplifiers in them. Pultec-style EQ with a solid-state amp. Sound awesome.
I say you take good care of your gear.
I bought this like this,
right,
and actually, the guys at Spectrasonics are after me to send it in so they can put a new front plate and a meter on there, and I'm going to do it, I swear, and I'm sorry I haven't sent it in yet. Fantastic compressor, sort of LA2A style, but not really, and it also has an amazing peak limiter, which is completely transparent. You can get rid of 60 dB peaks, and you really don't hear it doing it.
It's fast enough to do that.
It's super fast, to the point where they feel like it's impossible to model. I'd love for someone to take on that challenge and see, but yeah, apparently you're down in the nanosecond range where you can't model. So yeah, really fast and awesome. But then when you start distorting it, it does its own thing.
And then that's a wonderful thing right here.
Fat Boy.
It's written on it. It says Fat Boy.
That BA6A has spoiled me for all other BA6As. Twice I've tried to buy a second one, and they sound like they're broken compared to this guy. There's something that goes on in the low end of this one, and probably this is the one that's broken, but it's Fat Boy.
Yes. It sounds better.
It's amazing.
My favorite compressor. BS6 is my favorite compressor I've ever heard. They're the smoothest, fastest.
Well, don't listen too carefully to this one because then you're going to get sad.
Right. Don't look when we leave. It might be gone.
Oh, it won't be gone.
Okay.
It weighs too much.
That's true. We're not using the Eclipse, but you're using the Eventide.
Yeah, that H3000 has been on the same program with a couple of tweaks along the way since Stadium Arcadium. I modified a Dual 910's program to act like the Dual Micropitch program, and that has stayed... Yeah, I mean, that box you could remove the entire front faceplate. It wouldn't matter.
Okay. This is on, not being used.
DSP 4000, yeah, just for more stuff.
And then...
Distressors are distressors. Sometimes you need them.
And sometimes you don't. And then this guy.
That LA2A, Sound City Studio B... I retubed it. It sounds magical. I did not put a new opto in it, so of course it sounds nothing like an LA2A is supposed to sound like, but it is great.
All right. Okay, well, gear doesn't matter, right?
No.
No, it's not. It's
not about the gear.
No, it's about what's in your head. Do we agree on that?
It's about what's coming out of the speakers.
Correct. Which is a projection of what's in your head.
We hope. That's what we're striving for. Absolutely.
Okay, so... this was just a little bit of gear porn because everybody's drawn to this stuff. I know that lately you've been working more in the box.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a compromise?
No. When I was starting to migrate into the box, I was worried it would be, and I was really worried about the results. And once I finally got over myself and just did it, and stopped thinking it was about the gear, and the gear is the source of all my power. Because if that were true, anybody with money would be a great mixer. You just buy some stuff, right? It took a little while to get used to it, but I actually much prefer mixing in the box now because it's all about the process and what makes you feel creative. And what makes me feel creative now is working on more than one song at a time, usually 3 or 4 songs at a time, sometimes 6 songs at a time. Being able to work on one for 10 minutes, and if I'm not feeling it, close it, open up another song, and being able to do it anywhere in the world and not bother telling people where I'm going. And I think it's freed me up mentally to not have this millstone of a non-recallable mix on the console, because there's so many knobs involved. You're never going to get them all back to the right place. So when you've got a mix going on the console, at least for me, I'm terrified of taking it down when I know I'm going to have to put it back up. And the way record making is these days, you're always going to have to put it back up. Even though it may not be about someone wanting to make a change 2 weeks from now, it may be that it's going to take them 2 weeks to actually listen to the mix, even though they said it had to be done by Thursday. So now I've completely eliminated that from my world. And that lack of stress, I think, is making me a better mixer. It makes me listen. It makes me make decisions based just on the mix instead of thinking about, if I do that, it's going to be harder to recall. Or maybe I need to print it first. Or, I just am removing as many problems as possible, and I don't think I'm taking a sonic hit for it.
However, seeing you mix with the console today...
Oh, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, but you know what? There is something really fun to me about mixing in the box as well. It's a totally different fun. It's a much more sedate fun.
Yes.
It's not as visceral.
It's the sleeper fun.
Yeah, but it is actually fun because there's less to commit to in a way, because I can I'm not really ready to work on the vocal. Fine, close it up. Pull up another song.
Right.
Work on the vocal on that, learn something, come back and work on the vocal. So one mix informs the other. There isn't this kind of serial progression from the first song you mix on a record to the last song. Invariably, you wish you could mix the first 4 again. I do. And nobody even hears it until I'm happy with all of them.
I think there was an amazing balance between the 2 mixes, and I think you guys will enjoy seeing that. I think it was a very informative process. I have never seen it, and I'm a scholar of this stuff on the geeky line of scholar. It was amazing to be a spectator and to witness somebody at your level of vision and your level of skill set and experience have fun both ways, get 2 completely different results, and they're both valid. And that's great because I think you can maybe put an end to the one is better than the other. I think the whole one versus the other argument is getting old. This experience has the potential of putting an end to that.
I really believe that if something makes you feel more creative, then it's better. I think the problem is that most of the time people spend a lot of energy thinking that they're being held back because they can't have this or that or the other thing. And I think that all you need to do is look at some of the people like Chad Blake who moved into the box for reasons that had nothing to do with moving into the box, but now wouldn't mix any other way. And people who've stayed on consoles because they really feel that they need to be on consoles. Both of those are completely valid, but they're motivated by what they hear and how they want to work. And it's not letting gear or software or anything else be an excuse for you for saying, my mix isn't that great, but it's because I don't own a Neve. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're tracking things with microphones and you have bad preamps, I'm right there with you. That's going to be a problem. But for mixing at this point, there's no excuse to give yourself one way or the other, and don't let it be an excuse. Know that if that mix is not great to you, it's just because you're not done.
I think that's the best way to put it. So I think what we're going to do is going to wrap up for today. Planning to learn about mixing in the box, mixing in analog with the incredible Andrew Scheps. Et voilà.
He's fab.